Hey, what's up, everybody? Today's verse is Galatians 5:25, and it says, "If we live by the Spirit, let us also keep in step with the Spirit." What's that saying right there? It means get ready to walk the walk. You better be walking the walk and not just talking about it. You see, it says if we live by the Spirit, if we claim to be walking with Christ, if we claim to be a part of the kingdom, if we claim that we have the Holy Spirit in our lives, it better look like it. We had better be keeping in step with what that means. One really good way to look, or easy way to look at it, would be to be looking for the fruit of the Spirit in our lives. If you claim to be in the kingdom, you should be producing kingdom fruit. Peace, love, joy, all of that, right? We ought to be checking ourselves from time to time to see if the life that we keep talking about, the good news that we keep proclaiming, is actually evident in our lives or not. And believe you me, the people looking in around you, your family, your friends, and all the outsiders looking in, they'll check you on it. They'll let you know if you seem to be, can we say, hypocritical about the things that you seem to be preaching. So again, if we live by the Spirit, are we keeping in step with it? And for that matter, for those of us who are going through the hard times in our walk, if we're going through that valley, one thing that you can ask yourself is, if you're going through that hard time and you're not feeling very spiritual at any given moment, right? You're feeling distant from God, you're struggling with the sin, you feel like you're being tempted, you've started up on some bad habits or whatever, right? We know what it means and what it feels and looks like to be apart from God and the Holy Spirit, and you're asking yourself, well, how in the world do I get back in step? How do I get back in step with the Holy Spirit so that I can freely grow in His goodness and start to produce those fruit again? And it's simple. You just need to start remembering and looking at what it was like when you did walk with the Spirit. Were you praying daily? And I don't necessarily mean nice formal prayers or getting in your closet, your war room, or whatever your routine might have been, but praying ceaselessly, meaning that you're kind of constantly in conversation with God throughout the day. So instead of having those conversations with yourself in the back of your mind, is that person in the back of your mind really God up above, or the Holy Spirit within you that you're kind of chit-chatting with throughout the day? Are you drinking of the living water, eating of the bread of life, breathing of the breath of life, which is a really fancy and probably religious way of saying, are you actually reading the scriptures? Are you actually spending quiet moments with God? Are you actually meditating on His word and so forth? Are you spending real quality time with your Creator and in the essence of the Holy Spirit? Or are you kind of like, if the Holy Spirit's in you, does it feel like it's starving to death? Is your soul, your spirit starving to death and thirsty and so forth, because you're not actually going to the well? You're not actually going to the table to find nourishment and energy and health. If your life doesn't look right, if your life doesn't feel right, you might be out of step with the Spirit, and that might be the problem. You see, Jesus talks about what it means to be the vine attached to the branch. And I probably said that backwards there. But regardless, if we're not connected to God, if we're not being fueled and fed and supplied by our Creator, then we slowly start to die. And spiritually speaking, what death looks like in our lives is that we fall away from grace. We start to experience things like sickness and so forth, but we also start to experience what it means to have sin in our lives, and depravity starts to take over, and those thoughts that you don't want anything to do with start to take hold again. Your temptations start to get stronger, and your willpower gets weaker. to fight it off. So one more time, if we live by the Spirit, especially if we claim to live by the Spirit, it means that we have to keep in step with the Spirit, walking with it, feeding it, nourishing it. We need to be connected to our God, including through the gift of the Holy Spirit that we were granted after salvation. It's my challenge for you. Make sure that you're in line with your Maker. Make sure that you're spending time with your God, and let that turn into something beautiful both in your life and what you can do for the kingdom as well.